Oh, my dear. Did you know that certain phrases we use can give away more about our age than our gray hairs or laugh lines ever could? Stick with me till the end, and I'll reveal not only 12 phrases that make us sound older than we feel, but also how to replace them with words that exude timeless confidence. And while you're here, don't forget to like this video, drop a comment about a phrase you think might be outdated, and subscribe for more wisdom to keep you savvy and shining. 1. In my day. Starting a sentence with "in my day" is a nostalgic way to compare the past to the present. While it's rooted in genuine memories and experiences, it often creates a sense of distance between you and others. Using this phrase too frequently can make you seem out of touch, as though you're constantly referencing a time that's been left behind. I get it. You want to share stories, to explain how things have changed over the years. After all, you've lived through more changes than most people will ever experience. But in doing so, you may inadvertently imply that the present is somehow less valuable or less exciting than the past. That can make younger people feel like they can't relate to you or that you've rejected their way of thinking. It can also make conversations feel divisive, like there's an us versus them mentality based on age. So, how can you bring those stories forward in a way that keeps you grounded in the present? What to say instead? Try approaching your story without the comparison. Instead of saying, "In my day, we didn't have cell phones," you might say, "I remember when we had to rely on payphones to stay in touch. I wasn't nearly as connected as I am now." This way, you acknowledge how things were, but you also validate how much better connected you feel now, making the conversation feel mutual and current. By sharing your experiences in this way, you demonstrate that you're adaptable, engaged with the modern world, and open to hearing about the differences and similarities in today's way of life. Your history is valuable, but don't make it the only lens through which you view the world. Back when life was simpler? Now, don't get me wrong. I totally understand the impulse to romanticize the past. It's tempting to think of days gone by as simpler, where things were less complicated and perhaps even more peaceful. But this kind of statement often brings a sense of longing that can be misinterpreted by others as dissatisfaction or resistance to change. It also suggests that current generations are dealing with more complexity or difficulty than you ever did, which, when you look at today's fast-paced world, isn't always true. Every era has its challenges, and certainly the generation growing up today is facing unique hurdles. Saying life was simpler back in your day can diminish their experiences. Think about how much you've had to adapt to technology, changes in the workforce, new social norms, and global concerns. Simplicity is often a matter of perspective, and what was simple in one period might feel complicated in another. Embracing complexity can bring richness to your conversations instead of distancing you from others by referring to the past as a better time. What to say instead? I used to think life was simpler in my younger years, but now I see there was just a different set of challenges we faced. I'd love to hear how today's young people are navigating their world. By saying this, you open up a conversation where both generations can discuss the ways they tackle challenges and how they adapt, and it shows you're more interested in understanding others than just talking about what things used to be like. By staying engaged in current events and acknowledging that every time has its pressures, you position yourself as a forward-thinking individual who values the perspectives of the younger generation. 3. Kids these days. Ah, this old chestnut. It's a phrase you've probably heard from every generation, but it's also one that often puts a subtle barrier between you and younger people. No one wants to feel like they're being put into a box of otherness. Let's face it, no one likes to hear that their generation is somehow fundamentally flawed. It can sound condescending, like you're referring to an entire age group as if you have nothing to learn from them. People often use this phrase to express frustration with the way things are, but it almost always paints young people in a negative light. It suggests they're less capable, less responsible, or less hardworking than past generations, statements that simply aren't true. You don't know their struggles, their circumstances, or their ambitions unless you ask. Instead of jumping to conclusions, we have the chance to connect with younger people on common ground, appreciating how they handle challenges differently. You may not always agree with the decisions or lifestyles of younger people, but there's usually more to understand than meets the eye. Instead, try. Every generation has its strengths. I'm really curious to see what the young folks are going to accomplish with all the challenges they're facing today. By phrasing it this way, you're elevating the younger generation. You're signaling that you understand their world might be tough in different ways, and you're interested in learning more about their experiences. This shows that, while you may not always agree with the choices they make, you respect them and are open to hearing their viewpoints. This kind of open-minded approach helps you avoid creating a divide and helps young people see that you respect them rather than pass judgment. Who knows? You may learn something new from their perspective. We didn't have those fancy gadgets. Okay, so maybe you didn't have smartphones, social media, or streaming services back in your day. But saying this can make you sound dismissive of how integral technology is to the daily lives of today's younger generation. With how much the digital world has evolved, it can sometimes feel like there's always something new and shiny emerging. Saying things like, "We didn't have these fancy gadgets," often places value only on the simpler ways you used to do things while failing to acknowledge how much easier technology has made daily life for many people today. You might feel a bit of disbelief about how much we rely on technology these days. But remember, that doesn't automatically mean technology isn't playing a critical and positive role for the people around you. Every generation finds ways to improve and adapt, and this is simply the world we live in now. A better approach. While we didn't have all this incredible technology back in the day, I'm always amazed by how much more efficient things are now. There are so many tools that help us live our lives better. This viewpoint not only speaks to how you've embraced the advances, but it also shifts the conversation to a place of admiration for progress. You're admitting there's a lot of technology that makes life smoother, but also embracing it rather than rejecting it. It demonstrates an understanding that progress has helped the younger generation live in ways that wouldn't have been possible before. This approach shows your adaptability and willingness to engage with the times, making you seem more dynamic than a person stuck in the past. 5. What do you expect? I'm old. Admitting age can be empowering, but when you preface actions or thoughts with, "What do you expect? I'm old," you place a limitation on yourself. This phrase suggests that your age holds you back from engaging fully in activities, trying new things, or taking on challenges. Age is just a number, and using it as an excuse often leads to self-imposed barriers. It implies that because of your age, you're expected to act a certain way, or that you're not capable of doing certain things. Age might come with different physical limitations or slower reflexes, sure, but do you know what age also gives you? Wisdom, patience, experience, and a rich toolkit of knowledge built over decades. Rather than framing age as a barrier, it's time to see it as an advantage and use it to highlight your strengths. Saying, "I'm old," can also make people view you through the lens of fragility, which no one wants to be defined by. Instead, say, "I've been around long enough to know a thing or two. Let's see if I can teach you something today." This is empowering and shows that rather than being held back by age, you're full of wisdom. You're positioning yourself as someone who is actively engaged in life, bringing years of experience into every situation. This creates a stronger, more vibrant identity, one that isn't restricted by age, but rather bolstered by it. "I can't keep up with all this." This phrase indicates overwhelm, and sometimes it's true. The pace of life today, with technology, trends, and ever-changing cultural norms, can certainly feel dizzying. But saying this phrase too often signals defeat. It may make you sound disengaged or as though you've given up on adapting to modern trends. The truth is, learning, is a lifelong process, and age should never stop us from exploring new technologies, cultures, or ideas. You don't have to keep up with every single trend to be part of the conversation. Instead, understanding your pace and engaging with the world in a way that suits you is key. Often, this phrase also creates a feeling of exclusion, like you're cutting yourself off from the modern world entirely. It can unintentionally make others think you're not willing to grow or evolve. Don't let the pace of life drag you into frustration. Embrace the idea of learning in your own way. What to say instead? It's amazing how quickly things change. I may not keep up with everything, but I find learning about new things so exciting. This perspective doesn't diminish the complexity of modern life, but expresses openness and curiosity. It shows that while you may not grasp every change, immediately you're still excited about exploring new things and having conversations. It also gives others the freedom to slow down and engage with you without the pressure of keeping up with the latest trends. By staying curious rather than feeling outdated, you embrace the challenge and stay relevant to today's world, one step at a time, on your terms. 7. Why would anyone do that? We've all caught ourselves saying this in a moment of confusion or disbelief over something new or unusual, whether it's a fashion trend, a new way of thinking, or a modern habit. But this statement often comes across as judgmental, implying that whatever someone else is doing is nonsensical or inferior to how things were back in the day. Sometimes those things are new or unfamiliar, but that doesn't mean they don't have value or merit. When you voice disapproval like this, it can feel like you're dismissing new ideas before even giving them a chance. It doesn't encourage curiosity. It merely criticizes, especially when interacting with younger people. Comments like, "Why would anyone do that?" might shut down further conversation. People feel discouraged to share what's important to them when it feels like their choices aren't being respected. Instead, ask, "I don't understand why that's popular. Can you help me see why it's meaningful?" This opens up the conversation to a deeper understanding without shutting it down. It's curious, respectful, and willing to learn from others' viewpoints. Instead of invalidating someone's choices, you're engaging with an open mind. Asking questions in this way positions you as interested rather than dismissive. And, let's be honest, it's a much more charming and engaging way to learn about the trends that interest others. It will also signal to them that you value their perspective and might teach you something new in the process. 8. They don't make things like they used to. This is one of the most classic phrases we often hear and say ourselves, talking about how things were better in the past. Whether you're speaking about a car, a piece of clothing, or even a particular product, using this phrase can be nostalgic and heartfelt. But it's also a signal that you might not be embracing the fact that improvement is constant, and some products or ideas today are, in fact, better. Change can often feel overwhelming, and sometimes we just want to cling to the familiar, especially when the products we're used to seem more durable or simpler. But in reality, some modern innovations are more efficient, accessible, or cost-effective than things from the past. And by constantly referencing the past, we might be telling others we can't move forward with the times. This phrase can also unintentionally highlight a fear of new things, making them feel more intimidating or unreliable, even when, in many cases, that's not true. What to say instead? It's interesting how much technology has improved. Some of the old things had charm, but these new creations are pretty smart. This provides recognition for the past while celebrating the innovation and progress that make life more convenient today. It shows that you can appreciate the quality and nostalgia of older products, but you're open-minded and curious about new solutions. Shifting from, "They don't make things like they used to something like, "I'm impressed by how technology is evolving," conveys a sense of adaptability and wonder, allowing you to stay in touch with both the old and the new. 9. I'm too old for that. Now this one might feel like a simple acknowledgement of your age, but it can actually be quite limiting. By saying, I'm too old for that. You're closing the door on trying new things, taking risks, and staying active. Age is often used as a convenient excuse to avoid something outside of our comfort zones. The reality is, age doesn't determine what you can or can't do. It's your mindset. Whether it's a new hobby, an adventure, a course, or simply getting outside your usual routine, putting the brakes on based solely on age prevents personal growth and new opportunities. You might have moments where your energy levels aren't what they used to be, but don't let that stop you from pursuing joy and fulfillment. Many people in their later years take on new hobbies, begin new careers, or travel the world. It's all about attitude. Rather than thinking of certain activities as reserved for the younger crowd, think about what might be possible for you. Instead, try. I've never tried that before. I'm up for the challenge. Let's see what happens. This shows you're still open to exploration and growth, no matter your age. You're willing to step out of your comfort zone, try new things, and embrace experiences. This openness creates a mindset that not only benefits you, but inspires others as well. Approaching life with curiosity, whether it's learning a new skill or going on an adventure, proves that age is just a number. As long as your spirit stays eager, you're never too old to do something meaningful. 10. I'm just sitting here in my rocking chair. Ah, the rocking chair, a classic symbol of old age and rest. While it's certainly a relaxing image, referring to yourself as just sitting in my rocking chair can paint the picture of you as sedentary, inactive, or stuck in a lifestyle that no longer keeps pace with today's busy, active world. Using. This phrase can be a sign of surrendering to the narrative of retirement being an end to excitement or vitality. There's so much more beyond the rocking chair. A true life of fulfillment doesn't come from withdrawing from the world. It comes from engaging with it, whether through hobbies, socializing, exercising, or staying involved in things you're passionate about. Don't let your chair become a metaphor for complacency. What to say instead? I'm always looking for something new to try. There's so much left to explore. This shifts your focus away from the idea that you're done with life's fun and action and puts the spotlight on your continued curiosity and engagement with life. Rather than watching life pass by, you're participating in it, finding new ways to enjoy every moment. By focusing on exploration and curiosity rather than retreating, you signal that you're far from done and always eager for more adventure and growth. 11. I can't hear you very well. While this may be a perfectly valid comment when you're struggling with hearing, it can also unintentionally mark you as someone unable or unwilling to adapt. If you repeatedly say things like this, it can give the impression that you're letting small difficulties define your ability to fully participate in a conversation, especially in today's world where technology is working wonders to support hearing loss. There are so many options now, from hearing aids to smartphone apps, things that can assist with hearing, making it possible to stay engaged and connected. Constantly framing the conversation as something you can't do because of your hearing loss can limit your ability to participate actively in modern interactions. This statement can also unintentionally discourage others from speaking with you. If you constantly mention your hearing problems, people may take it as a sign that you're uninterested in talking altogether. Instead of solely focusing on what you can't do, look for solutions to ensure you're engaging as much as you can. What to say instead? I have to focus a little more to hear clearly, but I'm still really engaged in the conversation. Thanks for your patience. This helps to convey your determination to remain a part of the discussion while acknowledging the struggle without emphasizing defeat. It also creates a more positive, proactive image, demonstrating that you're willing to take extra steps to communicate effectively and be fully present. Rather than making hearing issues the focal point of conversations, you highlight your commitment to staying engaged with people and moments that matter most. I don't know how people handle this modern world. It's perfectly normal to feel overwhelmed by change, But expressing confusion about the modern world in this way can make others feel alienated or as though you're not able to connect with their experience of life. Every generation faces challenges in adapting to a rapidly evolving world, whether it's new technology, new social norms, or global concerns. It might feel like modern society is too fast, too complex, or too overwhelming sometimes, but this line can perpetuate the notion that you're disengaged or unwilling to interact with today's world. When we communicate that we can't handle new things, it inadvertently keeps us stuck in a cycle of isolation. That doesn't mean you need to adopt every trend, gadget, or cultural shift, but acknowledging the realities of the modern world allows you to stay mentally sharp and open to new ideas. Instead, try. There's a lot to process, but I'm really interested in learning how people today are navigating these changes. This shows a willingness to explore and understand modern life, not only as it impacts others, but how you can adapt to it at your own pace. It puts the spotlight on your curiosity and active participation in discussions, even when facing things that seem new or overwhelming. This mindset reflects adaptability, helping you stay in tune with what's going on today without shutting it out. Every new trend or challenge can be an opportunity to keep growing and engaging both mentally and emotionally with the world around you. Now, here's where I need your help. What's a phrase you hear that you think needs updating? Comment below. And before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and sign up for the Savvy Senior newsletter for even more tips and insights to stay radiant and sharp as ever.